Welcome to this video in which I'm going to be discussing the University of Texas at Austin, the McCombs Business School. So in case you're applying to McCombs this year, welcome to this video. I'm going to take you through things about the school as well as discuss about the application essays for the year 2018-2019. Right? So without much ado, let's get into the application deadline. So no surprises over here. We have a standard application deadline. We have round 1, which is on October 9th, the decision of which would be known by December 18th. Round 2, which is Jan 8th, decision of which would be known by March 28th. And then April 2nd, the third application deadline, for which the decision would be known by May 9th. Okay. So what about the 3 application deadlines? My take is very simple. If you feel that McCombs is one of the top schools that you're going to be applying to, apply in round 1. And I'll tell you the strategy behind it. See, the whole thing is people who apply to a school like McCombs, if they apply to a higher ranked program, right? Let us say that they end up applying to, let's say, a University of California at Berkeley, or they end up applying to a, let's say, a Kenan Flagler. All of these programs are considered in terms of rank higher than McCombs, correct? Now, what students do is, if they end up applying to McCombs, okay? So just think about it for a minute, how it works, right? So let's say that you end up applying to a higher ranked school and you also apply to McCombs. You are waitlisted in the higher ranked school and you get an admit to McCombs. What would you do? Pay up the deposit? Then what about this school, right? The results of which could be announced only after R2. So what people do is they say, let's apply to McCombs in round 2. So let me look at all my dream schools in R1 and let me look at, the other schools in R2. So you need to think through your plan. If McCombs is a school that you are very happy going, please apply to it in round 1. Your chances would be slightly more. Why? Because B school has not really made a decision on who they are going to admit for that particular year. Correct? So they're going to be a little more liberal in looking at you. But if you apply in R2, they already have an Indian from a technology background in R1. They're going to look at you and compare it with him and say, what would this guy bring to the table that I already don't have? Right? I already have 3 people who have got admitted with these profiles, right? One from technology, one from finance, and one from operations. What would the people in R2 bring, which people in R1 who are admitted did not? So that's really my advice for you when it comes to R1, R2. Okay. Now let's get to the school itself. I think Texas is now, see what is happening is California, the very fact that it's so expensive is pushing a lot of companies out to places like Texas, right? So one thing about Texas, I can tell you, like a place like Austin, a lot of companies, just try to search for companies that have a headquarters in Austin and you'll realize, right, from Dell to bunch of companies, right, which are headquartered out of Austin. Relatively cheaper, right, than California, right? And more importantly, a lot of Indians, it's an Indian friendly place, if I could use that term. So, so Texas, Florida, New Jersey, California. So these are all the Indian friendly states, right? So in case you're applying, you will pretty much feel at home in a place like Austin. Okay. The school itself has a focus on energy. I think energy and consulting are the 2 main things that come across for this school based on my experience working with students in the past. Many of our students have gone there. So if either of these 2 are in your areas of interest, then definitely this should be a school that you should look at. All right. Let's get to the essays. So we have 2 essays this time. The first one says, we will learn a lot about your professional background through your resume and letter of recommendation. We want to get to know you further. Please introduce yourself. Select only one communication method you would like to use for your response. And what are the 2? A, write an essay 250 words or share a video introduction 1 minute. 250 words or 1 minute introduction. This is really your elevator pitch. Now, what is an elevator pitch? I am you might have heard of this term, typically used in a startup scenario. So let's assume that you are a startup owner, okay, and you are in a lift and you have just a minute before that lift is going to go to the ground floor, and you are with a VC, someone who's going to pay, you're going to put money in your venture, and you have to describe your venture. What would you say? That is where the concept of elevator pitch started. But now let's just change it, right? So let us say that you are in an elevator with the CEO of a company that you would love to work with, right? So let's say you are in the elevator with, let's say, Elon Musk, right? And you have a minute and you have to tell what you do to Elon Musk in 1 minute. What would you say? Correct? Please do not tell me things that I can find in your resume. Don't say things. Maybe you want to say what your name is. That is perfectly okay. So say you want to tell me your name. That's okay. But apart from that, tell me something that would make me think. Don't give me the entire story here. I don't want to know your entire story. I just want to know something that is interesting. So you could even use a format which says, I want to tell you 2 things about myself. Right? I want to tell you 3 things about myself, or you want to probably pick those 3 things and say, I want to say this, this, this. Any introduction requires a little bit of structure. If you remember the famous Steve Jobs speech, right? In case you don't know, Google for it, Steve Jobs Stanford graduation speech, right? One of the best speeches ever. That is Steve Jobs at his best, right? Like his storytelling. If you notice that speech, he starts off with, I have 3 stories to tell you. So what happens is when people engage with 3 stories, it's easier for them to remember. So similarly, in your introduction, you could say, there are 2 things that I would like to tell you about myself, or 3 things. Do not tell them too many things. Don't try to stuff too many things in that 1 minute video. Correct? Just be, just try to pick 2 things that you want to talk, right? I want to talk about Arun the hustler, right? I am the guy who gets things done. In my past experience, I have grown, a company from, let's say, X companies to Y, and from revenues from Z to whatever else. That's the kind of impact that you want to make. 1 point, done. Second, I want to also talk about Arun. Now you talk about maybe like a more emotional thing, right? The empathizer, right? And talk about how you are able to contribute to a social cause. Right? So I think what you should do is the essay and the introduction should be something that is not mentioned in your resume or LOR. So keep your resume in front of you. As I told you, except for your name, nothing should be repeated. Right? So I think the personal qualities should come out. You can pretty much shoot using any normal phone. For example, you take a look at this one. Right? So I am pretty sure that my phone can capture a pretty good video. Important that you are able to hear the voice, right? So what you need to do is make sure that you have a good way to record your video. I think that's one place where people get it wrong. They don't have a good way to record it. So what happens is you get this white noise, correct? That hissing sound. So what you need to do is either you can get a lapel mic like the one that I'm using right now, or you could even use your phone and you can just attach a headphone to it, like a wired headphone, and that also should be enough, right? But make sure that you don't overdo it, right? For example, right now I'm shooting this in my office. It's a normal camera, and we are using very basic equipment. There is no fancy lighting over here, but this level of quality should be acceptable for most schools. Okay. Make sure you practice, make sure you rehearse in case you're doing a video introduction. Obviously, you're going to be conscious when you see the camera for the first time, expected, and plus there is also this feeling that something is going to be captured for posterity, right? So you kind of feel a little this. So keep saying the same things, have your lines, and keep saying the same things if you're using the video mode. Now, the other question that you may have is, Arun, should I use the essay format or should I use the video format? I would say, what kind of person are you? Are you a person who likes to write? For example, I know a lot of people who write very, very well, right? They will write their introduction. It has humor. It has, that tenor. It has the pitch. It has the perfect flavor, right? So if you are able to do that, great. write the essay. It is not mandatory that you need to shoot a video. But on the other hand, if you feel that you're confident coming in front of a camera, if you're confident speaking in front of a camera, then please use the video. Right? So ask yourself, am I a guy who would typically send an email, or am I a guy who would typically get onto a face-to-face meeting? Right? Who are you? Depending on that, choose the medium. The medium itself will not be a reason for you to get selected or get rejected. So don't worry on that. Okay. Now coming to the second essay, picture yourself at graduation. Describe how you spent your time as a Texas McCombs MBA and how that experience helped prepare you for the post-MBA world. Now, interesting question, the way in which it is framed. You realize that there are two things that this question is really asking you. It is asking you how the Texas MBA, the McCombs MBA will help you. It's in the future, but you have to use it in the past, right? Like, I did this. So instead of saying I will do this, say I did this. Okay, that's the first thing. Second, you cannot tell me what you did unless and until you tell me what's your post-MBA goal. So in that sense, this essay is also requiring you to explain the post-MBA goal. Okay, so let me take both of these one after the other. Let me take the post-MBA goal first. So you need to be able to tell your function, your position, your industry, what kind of companies that would typically recruit you, what kind of titles you would have. So it's very important that you talk about what your post-MBA goals would be. Very important that you talk about what is it that you need from where you are today in order to get to that role. What is it that you need? Do you need leadership? Do you need international exposure? Do you need functional knowledge? Do you need the network? Do you need the brand? What is it that you need? Establish that. Okay. Now that you have established that, it is very easy for us to connect saying what in Texas MBA will help me get there. Right. So now we have to do a one-to-one mapping. Right. For this skill, I need this. For this skill, I need to do this. Correct? So you need to first understand your goal, then look at specific things in the McCombs MBA that will help you get there. Correct? Second, why is it that they are asking you to describe something in the past? Think about it. When you describe something in the future, you are going to talk about things saying that I will do this. But when you talk about things in the past, you will talk about specific experiences. While I was at the consulting club, I did so and so. I invited speakers. This gave me an opportunity to interact firsthand with thought leaders and gave me a perspective of what a day in their life looks like. And this motivated me further. So you need to be very specific when you're talking about things in the past. Because here you are assuming that you are already graduated, right? So this is at the point of graduation. So you need to be very specific, use it from a time in the future where you're talking about the past. So it's important that you keep the tense in mind, right? So these are the top two things that I would keep for this story, right? The generic things obviously apply, which is you have 500 words. People tend to be a little lazy when it comes to 500 words. You keep it very tight because you need to make sure that the reader is able to hold his interest. See, both of these essays, the first one is just 250. It could be a video, right? Either it's 250 or video. Very important that you connect with the audience, connect with the reader. 500 words, all the more reason why at no point should they start reading and feel bored because you're going yada, 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 right? It should be something that should captivate. And this is a general tip for any essay above 100, 200 words. Till 100, 200 words, even if you write crap, you will be able to hold their interest because it's just a couple of paragraphs, they'll be able to read it. 500 words, they have to read a lot. So make sure that you keep it engaging, engaging for the reader. Right? So these are the two essays. The optional essay talks about gaps in your career and or your education. As I've said earlier, use this only when you have a good reason to use it, which is if you actually have a gap or maybe a poor AW or IR score on the GMAT, right? So unless and until such a thing happens, please do not try to retrofit any story into the optional essay. I hope this video was useful. In case you found it useful, please let me know if you're applying to Texas McCombs program. We have had students who have gone to this program previously. I would love to share their experiences and also help answer queries that you may have. So why don't you just go ahead and let us know, and we'll get in touch and see how we can work together on this. Thank you.